These are Hudef's Pro Series paddles. The standard shape is the Apex Pro, and the elongated one is the Viva Pro. They both come in 16 and 14mm thicknesses, but I'll only be reviewing the 16mm option. Let's start with the Viva Pro. Now the big question about this paddle is its durability, since the Pickleball studio had a severe case of delamination in his review after a few play sessions. Now I don't know if it's because I have a Viva Pro from a later batch, or if I just don't hit as hard as other people, but I put in a good 25 hours on this paddle and honestly didn't have any issues. I would still question the durability a bit, but Hudef does claim to have a lifetime warranty. I'm not too familiar with it, but hopefully it is something that can take care of any issues that do happen. The Viva is slightly more expensive than the Apex because it's actually thermoformed, so it has the unibody design and edge foam injected into the perimeter. However, this paddle isn't thermoformed the same as other thermoform paddles that people are used to, like the Legacy Pro or the 6-0 Double Black Diamond, because the power is significantly less and the face isn't as stiff. Those paddles undergo the heat sealing process for several hours, and my guess is that the Viva goes through a shorter heat sealing process. It's been referred to as a Gen 1.5 paddle, since it's in between the Gen 1 carbon fiber paddles and the thermoformed ones in terms of its power and face stiffness. I would compare it more to the Vatic Prism series. Similarly, the Prisms undergo a very short thermoforming process that's just enough to seal the edge foam in the perimeter, and they are more like the Gen 1 paddles. I believe the Viva undergoes a thermoforming process in between the Prism and the Vatic V7 because I find it stiffer than the Prism, but this is just me making assumptions, and Hudef has not actually released any details on its manufacturing. Also, the Viva can delaminate, while the Prisms claim to not have that issue. The Viva retails for $99, and after a discount code, this drops down to $85. So while it is cheaper than the Prism, I don't think it's necessarily a better value paddle. The Viva Pro does have a Toray T700 carbon fiber surface, but the spin isn't as good as the Vatic or any of the thermoform paddles on the market. It's good enough, and I don't find it lacking in spin, but it's not at the level as the other thermoform paddles. The sweet spot was fine. I actually think it may have been a bit smaller compared to my Prism, but the edge foam definitely made it better than the Gen 1 paddles. The Viva was also a bit more head heavy and slower to swing, but it also provided more pop and power than the Prism. Overall, for $85, this is a really solid deal for a paddle. Just note that there's a risk of early delamination, but you do have that lifetime warranty. Now onto the Apex Pro. I think this is one of the best beginner paddles you can give to someone who wants to learn pickleball, but doesn't come from a racket sport background. Generally, I like to recommend standard shape paddles to new players who are unsure on what paddle shape they want because the sweet spot is more forgiving. It's not thermoformed like the Viva Pro, so it doesn't have edge foam or unibody design, so unfortunately it does have a cheaper feeling handle with exposed polymer. It has the same Toray T700 carbon fiber surface as the Viva, so the spin is pretty solid as well. I would compare its touch to more expensive paddles out there on the market, like the Selkirk Vanguard 2.0 Epic or Carbon 2. Overall, it's a very soft control paddle that is quick to swing at the net. The Apex is cheaper and a better paddle compared to other beginner paddles at its price range too, like the Onyx Z5 or the SLK Evos. It retails for $89, and after a discount code, this drops down to around $75, which makes this a really good deal. There aren't that many standard shaped Gen 1 carbon fiber paddles I know of priced this low. The only other one I can think of is the Bison Rampage, which costs $99. Overall, the Viva Pro and Apex Pro are very solid sub $100 options that I think are worth checking out that also have a 14mm option I haven't even touched upon. I've linked my discount code here and in the video description for 15% off your order from the Hudef website.